Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinici, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I am beyond excited for you guys to hear from this very next guest. She is a friend of mine, a huge supporter, and just a joyful, heart-centered human that I just can't wait for you to learn from, but also just be able to connect with and get to know. My friend JJ is here. She's also a registered dietitian, and she has an incredible way of helping people to create sustainable habits through mindfulness and play, which I'm so excited to get into today. So JJ, why don't you introduce yourself with the listeners by saying who you are, what you do, and most importantly, why you do what you do.
Wow. Tony, that was such a remarkable intro. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. So like Tony said, my name is JJ. I am a registered dietitian and I do nutrition and habit coaching. And man, why I do what I do, that's such a loaded question.
Go as deep as you want. The deeper, the better.
I feel a true calling to coach, to host a podcast, to positively impact as many humans' lives as I can. And a way that I'm truly, truly passionate about doing so is through nutrition coaching and teaching folks how to truly build sustainable habits, not even just with their nutrition, but, whether it be with their movement, as you mentioned, their play, just in every facet of life, helping people make the change that they want and teaching them how to do that so they can kind of like take that knowledge with them and, continue this journey for the rest of their lives.
I love it. And what made you get into, why did you become a registered dietitian? I'm curious. What was your journey like?
Yeah, it was kind of twofold. First was, in ninth grade, I got diagnosed with Raynaud's disease, and I have some markers of some autoimmune diseases. And with autoimmune diseases, you can't do anything about them. It's just kind of like a wait and see situation. So I was like, okay, if I were to develop lupus when I'm older, if I were to develop XYZ when I'm older, what I can do now is take care of myself through nutrition, through exercise, through mindfulness. Mm-hmm. And, that way, if and when anything happens, I'm ready for it. I don't want to get anxiety or worry over something that may or may not happen. But if it does happen, I want to set myself up to have the best chance. Mm-hmm. And then also, I always knew that I wanted to play softball in college. Specifically, I wanted to play softball at Cornell. And I was never the tallest or fastest. But through nutrition, I could really help with my physical performance, whether it be gaining muscle or even just feeling appropriately for practice. So it's kind of the mix of the two that really brought me into nutrition.
I love that. I can relate to that a lot. I mean, it's kind of what I would share on the surface, even though deep down I went to school to be a dietitian because I wanted to learn how to lose weight. But what I tell all people on the surface was, well, that's what I explored all different diets. I was vegetarian, I was vegan, I was a gluten-free vegan. I hated my life. I just would do all the things and I would be well, if I had a client who was vegan, I would want to know. If I had a client who was vegetarian, I would want to know. So kind of what you just said about if you got a disease, you would want to know how you would navigate it. That was where my mind went as well. We're kind of sick humans if you think about it. It's worst case scenario. No, but it's great.
Humans, we're just animals. Sometimes I think about the fact dang, we were just animals.
Yeah.
I feel I forget that aspect of ourselves.
And we have a really crazy brain that lies to us, but most animals just know how to survive. They just do it. We just
we're too smart for our own good.
We're way too smart for our own good. But then also too, I played sports as well. And although I wasn't good enough to play college. But I did want to improve my performance on the field. And so I definitely noticed changing my eating habits helped with that as well.
Yeah. I just remember one day, thinking to myself, it was kind of in conjunction with realizing that I had Raynaud's and then like realizing that could also help me with softball. And I was like, wow, I've never thought about very deeply, like what I put in my mouth hole. Like I had never up until that point even like thought about nutrition. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is such like an incredible, vital part of life that I have literally never thought about.
Yeah. So curious, what you've applied from anywhere from like high school to when you became a dietitian, just so the listeners know, like, this doesn't mean that you excluded lots of things out of your diet. No, it sounds like you changed your lifestyle, you changed your habits. Like, elaborate on like kind of the small changes you started to make that kind of led you to today.
Sure. So back in high school, when I was like kind of like starting this nutrition journey, I did like log and track my food. I was on Spark People way back in the day.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that?
Spark People? Wow.
Yeah. That's a throwback.
Ooh, that would be a funny TikTok that I'm not going to create, but you could create it because you're good at that.
Maybe. You're good too. I got a new phone, and because I've just like constantly battling my like memory and like storage, and Reels drafts are saved to your device, not like to your login. So if you log out and log back in, you lose all your drafts. It happened to me early in the summer. So I'm like, do I want to like go through the process of like clearing out storage and saving all my drafts and like organizing them? Or am I just going to like blitz my Instagram over the next 48 hours with like 30 reels and then, just start over?
Oh my God.
I'm just gonna
do it.
Screw it. Yeah.
Honestly, you should. Okay. Cause JJ is about to graduate. I'm like talking like a friggin' I feel like I'm your mentor, but JJ
you are. I feel like you are. No, truly.
Well, I've
always admired you.
I've
always looked up to you.
I'm excited for you. Anyways, I was going to say JJ is about to put her in her notice. Can I say this on a podcast? Should I stop talking?
You're good.
Okay.
Yellow.
She's about to put in her notice. And don't worry, it won't be out till probably you've left the job. So basically she's leaving her full-time job so that she can do online nutrition coaching full-time. So I'm so excited for her and so proud of her. And so the reason why I was going to say that is because one thing I was told when I first, like, I needed to just get noticed, because this was like, now I had no wiggle room to, at least, to like, slack off. I was actually told to post 4 times a day: morning, afternoon, early evening, late evening. So like 8 to 9 a.m., 12 to 1 p.m., 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern, and like 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. That's for my time zone. And you're in the same time zone. And so if you wanted to, with your Reels, you could literally do 4 times a day. And right now, Reels are really popular on Instagram. Mm-hmm. One of them will probably go viral, and then you'll get
I had one pop off. There's like 200 and something thousand views. And like, it did bring...
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, almost like 300 followers. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Can we all make fun of me right now? Like, okay, so my best friend was here from Colorado. Mm-hmm. My like best friend, she came to visit. She's like, I want to do this TikTok or this reel. She's like, I want to do this reel. And it was like a Britney Spears, like, oops, I did it again or whatever. So if you go to my Tips with Tony page, I don't know. I could look it up. Maybe it has like 2,000 views. I have no idea. She is private. She does this reel. She is not trying to get Insta famous. Not even a little bit. I'm not even kidding you, JJ. It has 2 million views.
What?
She got so many followers. She changed to public just to do the reel. And then she had to put herself back on private because she was getting all these random people friend requesting her. And that's her only reel that she has. She barely posts on Instagram. We have 2 million views, but of course, on her page, it goes viral. On my page, I've been trying to get viral for 10 freaking years. Literally, it doesn't go viral on my page. I give love to Instagram every single day. I've been giving love to Instagram every single day for like the past 8-9 years. Whenever Instagram started. Like, what? And I'm sorry. I feel like I'm screaming into the microphone.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
Not for you, for the listeners. Although I'm sorry to you too.
No, to the listeners, I'm saying that they can probably hear your passion. They can hear your pain. They can hear your frustration.
Oh my God.
You're just a lot more relatable right now.
But I'm glad you went viral. I'm proud of you.
She says bitterly. No, I'm just kidding.
No, seriously. I
really don't understand the algorithm at all.
It doesn't make any sense. They change it every day.
I'm like dancing like a fool. I just like... if you had asked me, if you had shown me all my reels and been like, which one would go viral? It would be like bottom of the list.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's why I just take like the
crazy.
like I just like throw spaghetti at the wall and like see what sticks.
No, but it's crazy. And what's also upsetting and frustrating, and guys, we'll give you back to, we're going to educate you in a second, but I just want to get this off my chest. Like, there was one time I did something on TikTok about like a paper straw. It has like nothing to do with nutrition. I just felt like talking about how annoying paper straws are, and it went viral. I don't want that one to go viral. That has nothing to do with what I'm teaching. Like, why? Like, oh my God, it's so frustrating.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And then you see people go viral whose messages perhaps aren't coming from, the same places.
Oh yeah.
And,
yeah. Oh God. Okay. Rant's over. Okay. Anyways,
how'd we get here?
I don't know. Let's go back to you. Tell me, one thing you do with people is you teach them how to be compassionately gritty. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
So this is like a new one I've been noodling on over. It's only been an idea in this brain of mine for like the last week, but I finally was able to like put a name to it. So I'm an athlete. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm used to working hard. I'm used to I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I tend to go into overdrive. I tend to not outwork myself, but overwork myself, right? Like, if something isn't working, I tend to like lean into the masculine and just like brute force my way through it. So that worked and the inner critic and like how I talked to myself and how I treated myself. It was just not good because we were just like, go, 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 go. Mm-hmm. Like, calling ourselves not very nice things and just not coming at myself from like a place of love. Mm-hmm. So that all kind of came to a halt like a year ago when, I've always struggled with anxiety and depression, but when I really kind of like hit my all-time low, I got sober of alcohol. I started the process of therapy myself, started couples therapy. My wife and I ended up divorcing. Like, there was just all of these things in my life that happened. And I feel like this summer I kind of swung to the opposite end, which was great. And it was exactly what I needed. I invested in myself more than I ever have. I have a nutrition coach. I have a business coach, still working with a therapist. I have a physical therapist. Did I say that? I'm investing in myself in all of these different ways. And I almost felt like I was kind of getting like a little too self-compassionate, not in terms of, obviously like we want to be compassionate with ourselves and very like self-compassionate, but there's certain things that we don't want to do, but we either have to do, or we know that if we do them, it will help us reach our goals. Right. So I feel like I kind of swung from one end of the spectrum to the other. And I'm like, I don't have to like do work today, or like I'll do that client check-in tomorrow. It's like, constantly letting myself off the hook versus being like, hey, like, no, this is like a boundary that you actually have to keep with yourself. This isn't something you have to blow off. So, finding that balance between, that grit and compassion, that, that grit and grace is, I think, something that's become very, very important to me, because you can be a high performer and high achiever and still talk to yourself nicely and still treat yourself kindly. Mm-hmm. And in my world, in the world, a lot of my Cornellian friends, a lot of my friends who were former athletes, I'm not the only one who has this brutal inner critic. I'm not the only one who, treated myself in the way that I did. Mm-hmm. And, learning to put myself first and be compassionate with myself, but then also step back into that grit, right? Grit meaning, that combination of passion and perseverance. I think it's something that is really important, and something that I want to help, as I'm still learning how to navigate it, something that I want to help, my clients learn.
Yeah.
As well.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I can definitely relate to that a lot. And I think this is where it relates to nutrition in so many ways, is for many of clients who come to us, I know that they're either on one spectrum where they're super, super rigid with their food, And it's like very much like they work out the same time every day, high intensity. Like if they don't, they feel guilty about it. Like it's almost like quote unquote perfect, but we know that it's not perfect. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or we have the other side of kind of like, maybe I think there's that fear of when you let go of that, and which most people are used to is when they let go of that, they swing all the way to the other end where it's like, I don't care. I never work out. I eat whatever I want. I haven't had a vegetable in a week, like whatever it is. And it kind of goes the complete opposite. And I think when you ask the right questions and when you have the right guidance, you will come back to middle. You will find a middle. You will know where sometimes like it comes down to like, sometimes you have to, for some people, you almost have to like push yourself to get the workout, just to get the workout started. Right. Because otherwise it'll be like, it's been 3 weeks and you haven't put a workout in. So maybe you need a little bit of tough love. Right. Where on the other side, it's like most of the time, like we need to be a lot more, I would say most people probably listening to this podcast need to be more compassionate with themselves and just being like, you know what, it's okay that you didn't work out today, or it's okay that you, ate more than you wanted to, or whatever it is. Because I'm curious from your experience, like, when you meet yourself with compassion, what changes versus when you're kind of critical with yourself?
Yeah. I was talking about it with my girlfriend the other night, and she said something that I think about quite often. She said, whether you're being very critical of yourself and beating yourself up or treating yourself with compassion, you might get to the same endpoint. You might still reach your goal, but it's going to feel a hell of a lot better,
right,
when you do it from that compassionate place. Like, it doesn't feel good to call yourself a POS. Like, it doesn't feel good to, and I think about it too, is like, I ask myself the question, would I be friends with me if a friend treated me the way that I treated me? And for a long time, that answer was no.
I love that.
But now it's like, me and the friend sometimes get in fights, but we're absolutely friends. So
I love that. That's such a great way to frame it. Normally, like we'll say in our program is like, when you are talking negative to yourself, like, would you talk to your friend that way? Right. But I like that better. Like, would I be my friend right now?
Yeah.
That's like,
would
even
you be
deeper.
Friends with you right
Would
now?
you be friends with you right now?
Yeah.
And based off of the way you're treating yourself, not how you're treating other people, because we know everyone listening to this podcast probably treats other people really great.
Yeah.
But it's like, how are you talking to yourself?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. How are you talking to yourself? How are you treating yourself? Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So how do you get people to kind of tap into that like playful mode?
And the playful mode? Ooh. I think that it's just such a big part of like me as a human. And I believe that I model play every single day on my Instagram. I start every single day with gratitude on hydration. I will post some sort of play or some sort of movement throughout the day. And I usually post a poll in the afternoon as well, asking people if they've moved and played, or if not, the other answer is usually like, we'll commit to 2 minutes tomorrow, or we'll commit to 4 minutes tomorrow. Like, part of the way that I get people to take action, whether it be to play more or to move more, is like to make the goal like so silly small that they're like, okay, there's no way I can't commit to 4 minutes of movement tomorrow, right? There's no way I can't commit to this. So part of the way I have them tap into play is, setting like really small goals. And I often find that a great kind of like entry to making more room for play is through movement, right? Whether it be dancing or walking, like finding joyful movement. People will come to me and they say, I really don't want to go to the gym. Okay, great. Like, what do you like to do? Like, that's not your only option. So helping them find what play feels like to them in terms of movement is a great way. And also, all of my clients have some sort of gratitude practice. It's like a non-negotiable with my program. So I feel like also through, a gratitude practice and mindfulness, it's a bit easier to find joy in the mundane, to find play in, things that we might have taken for granted before we started really to hone that skill of mindfulness.
I love that. And I feel like, especially when it comes to body image, so many people are so self-critical of themselves. And what that means is, if someone's coming to me like very hypercritical of their body, obviously we know, diet culture, if they're being teased as a kid, or, living in America, living in the world, I'm not even say America, living in the world, like there's many reasons why we have poor body image, but when the critic's very, very high, it's a very clear sign to me that they do not have a gratitude practice or just forgot, the simplicity of the fact that you're able to hear this podcast right now. It means that you can hear. That's a blessing. Yeah. That's a part of your body, right? You can taste and smell food, which people during COVID realized like that's something that, people make jokes about it, which is so sad. Like, I wish I had a reason not to eat or that. No, that's terrible. Like the fact that the simple pleasure of being able to enjoy your food, that is a simple pleasure that a lot of people take for granted. Yeah. And so, I think it's a gratitude practice is super helpful, especially with body image issues. Yeah, for sure. And I found it was hugely important for me with everything I went through last year. And like the first thought I try to have in the morning is, thank God for another day. Yeah. And I go right into my gratitude when I first wake up. And I like to, it doesn't just have to be like, oh, I'm grateful I got this raise, or I'm grateful I bought this. It's, I'm grateful for clean water is one that I do a lot. I'm grateful for a warm home, for clothes, it's like, there's so many things we take for granted. So have you heard of Dr. Andrew Huberman? No. Okay. He's a neuroscientist, I believe, a professor at Stanford. And I just finished his podcast on like the science of gratitude today. I have my phone just because I'm pulling up my notes on it. Yeah. It was really interesting. He again, because he's a neuroscientist and a professor, like he's always coming from like the scientific, like the actual, like what happens in our brain and like what's like the best gratitude practice to have. And he said that, obviously writing down our gratitude practice or thinking of things that we're grateful for is fantastic. But he said that receiving genuine gratitude, like from others, can be like really profoundly impactful. And that grounding your gratitude practice in some sort of a narrative or story. So, thinking of a time where you received genuine thanks or where you observed somebody receiving genuine thanks, like thinking about that story and really like putting yourself in the feeling of what you felt during that time or, what you witnessed, that it's more beneficial in terms of like tapping into, I forget what circuit it is in our brain that like controls gratitude, but he said it can be like a really, really powerful way to like implement a gratitude practice, which is cool. I'm excited to try that. I think that's great. I was just on a recording. I was on someone's podcast. I don't know, maybe it was yesterday. And we were talking about being grateful for the parts of your body that, you're learning to love, because it's a whole process. Right. And so one thing we had shared was like, I had said on the podcast, like, don't just say, I love my arms. Why do you love your arms? Right. I love my arms because they allow me to hug my kids. Right. I love my arms because they allow me to pick up my kids. I love my arms because they allow me to grab things when I need them. Like just basic things. They allow me to put my clothes on in the morning. Like so many things. Right. And so I think the reason why that's probably super helpful is because it kind of forces you to actually like feel the feeling, right? Because when you say I love my, think it. Yeah, because then you just think it, then that's why it doesn't really sit. Because especially if you don't love your body because you come from a place of hatred, where I was at one point in my life and my journey, and it's like for me to lie, it felt like I was lying to myself. But then when I started to like back it up with examples, right? Or like sometimes how our brains play tricks on us and tell us like, oh, we're really like, are we even like a good, I'm using parenting just because it's like the thing that comes up with to me, and I work with a lot of moms. So it's like our brains tell us like, I'm not a good mom. Which is a lie. Like any woman that I've worked with, that's a lot, so it's like, cause, and then you have to, then when you give yourself examples of ways in which you were told, your child told you, or your spouse told you, or a teacher told you, or somebody told you, like, you're actually a very great mom because you do X, Y, and Z, it definitely makes it a lot easier to observe. Or I was on a client call last night, and she's starting a new teaching position, and it's like a course she's never taught before, and it's high school, and she was teaching middle school. Like there's just so many changing parts. And she was like, I think I'm a bad teacher, and yada, yada, yada. And she was talking about, and then she was like, well, I have a class that's really struggling a lot.
So I think what I'm going to do is show them the data of their class compared to the other class that's doing really well. And, kind of like see how we can make changes to this class. I was like, wait, so you have one class that's doing really well and one class that's not doing well. You're teaching both classes. So clearly the teacher isn't the issue.
Right.
And she was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Definitely. So let's to maybe the listeners are like a little bit lost in the sense of like, how does this relate to nutrition? Let's bring it back to, how does a gratitude practice help with your eating, or mindfulness, or gentle play, or being compassionate, or kind of finding the middle, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how do you implement that stuff, and while also helping people form healthier habits with their nutrition goals?
Yeah. So I find that the compassion comes into place, especially when people first start with me, because of my emphasis. I'm big into goals. I set goals every single week. But the goals are like, when we talk about SMART goals, like specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound, like we set SMART goals every single week. And obviously like a goal, we set a goal because we do need to push ourselves a bit to reach that goal. But I really will sometimes pump the brakes with clients. Clients start with me and it's amazing. They have all this energy. They're really excited to like change their fitness.
You want to do all the things.
Exactly. And I feel like I kind of have to pump the brakes a little bit. And we set these smaller goals, and then sometimes people are like, okay, like I should be able to go for a 10-minute walk twice this week. Like they kind of like get hard on themselves for their goals because sometimes they seem so small, but slow progress is sustainable progress. And these small changes are how you actually create lasting change. So, by getting them on board with ditching that all or nothing mindset, getting them on board with slow progress, I feel like the compassion comes into place when, they need to accept that, okay, like drop that ego. Like there is nothing wrong with this goal. A lot of people struggle with this. I'm not alone. This does not mean I'm a failure. This does not mean that I'm never going to see the results I want to see. Just like accepting that earlier on in their journey makes it a lot easier to start to see the progress that they want. And then, down the road, like, it's never going to be smooth sailing. There's going to be bumps in the road. But when we have that compassionate grit, right, when we can hit that bump and go, oh, wow, okay, I, of course, binged on Wednesday night because Tuesday night I didn't make my lunch. I woke up late on Wednesday morning. I didn't eat anything all day. I got home and I binged. Like, of course that happened because of XYZ. Okay, let me make sure it doesn't happen again tomorrow. By having that compassion, they're able to, get curious and objectively see what happened versus like, oh my God, like, here we go. You did it again. Like, I'm never going to be able to change. I'm always going to be like this. Like, I'm always going to be like struggling with my weight. I'm always going to be struggling around food. I need to restrict myself. It feels so much better. Like we were talking about, it feels so much better to come at it from that place of self-compassion. Yeah. So it seems unrelated to nutrition, but really, it really helps lower some barriers around making lasting change.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's so connected. And I'm so glad you do what you do. And I'm so happy you're going to do it more. You're going to have more time.
Cannot wait.
On more clients. Exciting.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited.
Before we wrap up, anything else you want to share? Anything else we didn't talk about that's like one thing that you feel like it's super important that the listeners know?
I don't think so.
I think you covered it all.
Yeah, I think we covered it. Play more, stay present, be grateful, fun. And try your best. Have you read the 4 Agreements?
The 4 Agreements? No.
Have you read that?
No, I haven't. Send it
your
to
address.
me. Yeah. No, don't. No. Send it to me, like the details.
No, honestly, like sending people things, especially sending people the 4 Agreements, it's like, it's genuinely selfish. Like I derive joy from doing it.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I need to refresh my brain. I'm excited. Yeah.
But no, I think we covered it. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. JJ, where can people find you so they can connect with you and tell you how great you are? Because she's so great. You have to follow her on Instagram. It is really fun. She's really fun. She reminds me like I need to tap into my feminine more.
Which is like, which is funny that you say that because like, I don't know, like I feel like it's a constant battle for me to like tap into that.
It's so hard.
I feel like my natural state is like very much so. Like,
I'm really like resistant to it right now. Like, well, it's interesting because Amira, my boyfriend's daughter, she's with us like 80% of the time.
Yeah.
And on Sunday, we had a legit dance party. And when I tell you I had the most fun I've ever had, I'm not even kidding. Like, it was so much fun. And for whatever reason, I was able to connect and just disconnect from the world and just be completely present. And it was just incredible. And I really did have so much fun that she wanted to keep going. But at a certain point, we needed to stop. Like, I was exhausted. Yeah. And then the next day, I was like, we'll do it tomorrow. And then she kept reminding me. She's been reminding me since Sunday. Guys, we're recording this. It's Wednesday. And I'm like, no, not today. I'm like, oh, I'll watch you. Because my brain is like, oh, work mode.
So
this is the weekend. Like,
this is a perfect example of perhaps some compassionate grit.
I know.
You know, like dancing, you're not going to regret dancing with her.
No,
right?
Not
like
even a little bit. I love to dance. Like, I love to dance, and dancing with her is even more fun because she actually, and as a projector, like, I like to be told what to do. Like, I need instruction. Like, I need to be invited. So like, when she does a move, I do a move. And then she does a move, and then I do a move. And it's just like so much fun to kind of just do that. So
yeah. But
for whatever reason, I don't know, I'm so resistant to it right now. I'm right wherever you teach, I'm right there.
Do you know Michelle Caravella?
Yeah.
She hosted an event on Saturday called Reclamation, and I tended to like support her. And then like Lucy was leading a tapping. So I was like, okay, I'll just like check emails, but I was like engaged the whole time. I like sobbed like a baby during the tapping. And she like really talked about like tapping into your feminine. And one way she said is obviously like journaling, meditation, all that, but also silence. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like sometimes I'm just like constantly bombarding myself with music and stuff to like, it's like I'm adding more noise to try and drown out the noise. So she really inspired me. I woke up on Sunday morning, I drove my truck onto the beach. I started a little fire in my little bonfire thing, and I journaled for like an hour in silence. And like, I never do that. And slowing down and tapping into that feminine, it was so impactful.
Okay, so I love that you just shared that because I wish that we would do more of that. I almost feel like our minds always go to like, I'm thinking like where my mind goes is like, I need a retreat. Like, I need to like pay thousands of dollars and like go somewhere I haven't been and like cut myself off and like tap back in. But no, like I could literally do that. I could drive myself. Retreat. Yeah, I could do it myself. I don't need to do. Wow. Thank you, JJ. I love you. I'm so excited that I had you here. I mean, I knew I was going to love today. You make me want to have a co-host. We got to think about it. I really do. Because I feel like I come alive off of other people. Otherwise, I just like, oh, God.
All right. Well, look, when I'm full time and you've got some time in your hand, maybe we'll start a podcast. We'll get some gears turning about a little.
That would be fun because we're very much aligned. Like, we do habit based coaching.
Yeah, no, we're very much aligned.
Yeah, so
I think in a lot of ways, and I don't know, just these types of conversations, like being able to connect, and I just think they're like so valuable for me, and I hopefully the listeners glean something from this, even if it's like one thing that like helped shift a perspective. So
yeah, definitely. Okay. Awesome. Where can people find you?
Oh, sorry. At playful.dietitian on Instagram and TikTok. I also have a podcast called the Play and Ponder podcast. You can find it on Apple and Spotify. The link is in my bio. So please give me a follow. Let me know if you found me from Tony's podcast. I really love engaging and connecting with people on Instagram. So seriously, follow me, vote on my gratitude poll every single morning. I will help remind you to stay hydrated and practice gratitude and move your meat suit. So I appreciate you having me.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here. You guys make sure you follow her. I'll put all those notes I'll put all of her links in the show notes. Make sure you give her a follow and let her know if you learned anything or got anything from this episode. Also, if you're not subscribed to the Tips with Tony podcast, definitely hit that subscribe button. A new episode comes out every Tuesday and Thursday. And when you're subscribed, you don't miss a beat. As always, this is Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.